Eastpointe City Council on Tuesday, November 19, 2019, at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation. Tonight is going to be given by Dan Zander, and he's also going to be doing the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand for the invocation, also the Pledge of Allegiance.
Most gracious God, and we thank you for this day. We come to you now, Lord, and we just want to get this city council be smoothly. Pray for our new administrator here in Eastpointe. We just wanted to just be with us, Lord, and help us to get this meeting going and taking our time. All I ask is sing in thy name and pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Zander, so much. Can we please call the roll?
Mayor Owens,
Here.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Here.
Councilperson Lucido,
Here.
and Councilperson Curley.
Here.
I will accept the motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Madam Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, can I add one thing to the agenda? And that's just discussion of the vacant city council seat,
Okay, you want to put that as,
P.
okay.
And I guess I had one question. Did we need to, well, no, we've already, tomorrow's meeting is set in stone then for 6 o'clock, right? That's what we-
6:30, I believe.
I thought it was supposed to be at
We
5:30.
set it for
I
5:30.
thought it was 5:30.
and the
Oh,
first-
okay.
I think we set it for 5:30, and the first candidate to be interviewed is scheduled for 6, and the second for 7.
Well, this says 6, but I mean, I just want to make,
Oh, then, my bad, I missed that. It should be, well, you can start whenever you want, but I thought you might want a few minutes to organize your thoughts.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
clarified that.
5:30. Okay, my bad.
So the Eastpointe City Council special meeting tomorrow is at 5:30. We have it at 6 right here because that's the time we're going to start interviewing the candidates. But you said 5:30 to get council ready for questions and things like that, and the public here for their questions and receiving it. So we're going to keep 5:30, but we're going to start at 6. Is that good?
Yeah, start the interviews at 6.
We're going to start the interviews at 6, but we're all going to be here by 5:30.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Councilwoman Lucido want to add something to the agenda, item P, vacant city council seat. Can I get a motion on that? To add that to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I motion to add P, discussion of vacant city council seat to our agenda.
Can I get support?
Support?
I got a motion and support. Can you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. We will start the first hearing of the public. Before we start that, I will ask everybody to cut their phones down to silent, please, while we are in the city council meeting, just to respect people who are speaking and also respect the audience as well, so we can hear them. Also, if you have to speak or have a conversation, we ask you to please step outside with your conversation to continue order and peace. So we're going to start the first hearing of the public. Everybody that please goes to the podium, you get 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. So we're opening the hearing of the public. Anybody has anything to say? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Kim Van Gorder. I live at 22462 Raven. I'm not a public speaker, so I'm going to read, so please forgive me. I'm here to ask our mayor and city council members to consider ordinances to ensure the health and safety of the dogs in Eastpointe. Myself and some of my neighbors have been concerned about a very large puppy who must live 24/7 in an extremely small area that is all dirt, mud when it rains or snows, white huge chunks of broken cement over most of the area that he must stand, sit, and lay on. When you walk past, the urine smell is strong and it is frequently littered with feces. Shortly after, several of the neighbors and myself made made Echo Piler aware of the situation, and he visited the puppy. The owners put up a tall wooden section of privacy fence at the only area the puppy could look out of or be seen. Unfortunately, due to our lack of ordinances, this is considered okay for this puppy and maybe other dogs to live. Animal welfare people stress dogs should have at the very least adequate care, sanitary conditions, exercise, and space free from hazards. The dog's socialization is also a great concern. Again, animal welfare people will tell you that without constant socialization and contact, dogs become bored, lonely, and may become aggressive. These dogs also succumb to the extreme heat and freezing temperatures that Michigan is known for. Please, council members and our mayor, find it in your hearts to do the right thing for the dogs in Eastpointe and enact ordinances that ensure their welfare, health, and safety. They need someone to speak for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Also, if you get a copy of the agenda, you will see that we'll be talking about some of the things that you were just talking about. You're welcome. Anybody else would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Harvey Creech, resident of Eastpointe. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the new officers and the old officers. I see we're short one. I don't know exactly how we're going to make it up, but I'll see that in the evening's proceeding this one. And I'd like to say we got a few things that I'd like to see if we get straightened out. I think a lot of you know what some of them are, and the answers have to be proceeding somewhere along the line in the next few months. Hopefully, as I said before too, we can work together, and this is what I'd really like to see. I'd like to see this time, as I said, with the new officers and plus maybe, I don't know exactly who the last person in the council might be, but along with everybody else, as I say, it was a good foregoings. That's all I can say before too. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of people, and hopefully, somewhere along the line, or somewhere anywhere in the time preceding this council meeting, we can all work together. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Would anybody else like to speak? Would anybody else like to speak? Seeing that no one else wants to speak in the first hearing of the public, now it's closed. We'll be going to the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Do we have any?
We don't have any minutes.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any approval of the minutes. We don't have any scheduled hearings. We don't have any unfinished business. So we're gonna go straight to the reports from the administration, starting with the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no reports tonight, other than to say that we have quite a few DPW items on the agenda, and I'm grateful for that, so we can get into some of the business that I know is important to you in relation to streets and water service lines and that. I do want to ask if anyone had any experiences regarding the recent snowstorm that you want to share during your council remarks, or the community who's listening, because we have always interested in new ideas and fresh ideas. And I know Mayor Owens and I spoke about one idea, but any out there are welcome. Thank you.
Any questions for the city manager, anyone? I know I want to add to talk about the rules of procedure on the agenda, what has been done in the past, and what can we do to move forward. As far as the agendas that we have, I know a lot of communities do something different as far as to continue order. We use the Sturgis order. Some people use Robert's Rules of Order. And so we just want to look at different ways to, as you've seen several times, we had a lot of, out of order things that went to the podium, and a lot of instances when people got out of order. So I'm asking the city manager to look into certain things, and also Mr. Albright to look at different ways that we can keep order in city council and city hall. Okay. We're going to go to the finance director, Mr. Blum.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council. Just a reminder, next Tuesday is our audit meeting. We anticipate getting the draft on Friday, hopefully morning, and it will be emailed out to all of you, so please look for it, go through it, and have your questions ready. But Plant Moran will be here at 6 p.m. to go through that. At your table, I handed out 2 pieces of paper. One is just a correction for some of the insert in the agenda. I had an incorrect name pulling up an old template, so just fixing that. The other one that has the redacted information, back in May, during water bill due date, we made a lot of collections and put together a large deposit that went to the bank. Within that deposit were multiple smaller batches. One batch never made it into our bank account. We believe it was lost at the bank, but there's no way to prove anything. We were, over the course of a couple months, able to narrow it down to the specific batch in question. And so what we're doing is sending letters out to it's between 80 and 90 checks that were never put into the bank. We're sending letters out to each one of the individuals and requesting that they verify that the checks never cleared their bank account, and if they did not, to please reissue us a new one. If they did, we'd like a copy of the canceled check so we can then further research on why the money never ended up in our bank account. But anyways, just so in case you're getting questions from any residents, and there was one council person who was part of that batch, so you'll be getting a letter. I won't tell you who, but it took us quite a bit of time to actually narrow down the specific batch in question, and that's why it's taken us so long to get to the point of sending the letters out. But just so you're aware, these will be going out within the next week, and it's possible you might get some comments from the residents in question. So, and that's all I have.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Blum? We're going to go to the city attorney, Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Cotton regarding the conduct at meetings. The way the meetings are structured and the hearing of the public, the time allotment of 3 minutes, that is all set forth and provided for in the bylaws of the City Council. I believe the section is 2-21. That is certainly subject to amendment by a majority of the members in the council, so that may be something that the council may want to review in the future regarding how the meetings are structured, and also the hearing of the public, and perhaps requiring persons who want to speak to fill out a form regarding the topics that they want to speak about. That kind of activity is permitted under Michigan case law, so that may be something that the council may want to visit in the future. I also plan on bringing a list of properties for scheduling of show cause hearings at the next meeting as well. I don't know how many properties will be on that list. Still working with Ms. Van Haren regarding that, but I should have a list of addresses at the next council meeting. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Albright?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we're going to go to new business, starting with item A, residential street resurfacing. Let me give you the microphone, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I'd like to invite our Director of Public Works and Services to the podium. I want to compliment Joe's on working together with AEW and his team to come up with a list of streets that are in such bad condition. And it wasn't hard to do that because we get complaints on them frequently. And try to think up a plan as to what would be reasonable given the fact we don't have enough money to totally dig them up and reconstruct. So there has been a policy here of doing the better streets kind of in the middle of the road, and yet we don't have a plan for the worst streets. So rather than wait for the capital improvement plan and next year's budget, I encouraged Director Abraham to proceed, and he will present tonight on what he thinks is our best foot forward. It's not on for voting. because we're not sure if you think it's the best foot forward. So this is really just a discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Honorable Council. I am Jose Abraham, Director of Department of Public Works. The item before you is a proposal to resurface or mill and resurface residential streets. We have 100 miles of streets in the city, of which 20 miles are major streets and 80 miles are residential streets. Of the 80 miles of residential streets, there are approximately 8 miles of residential streets with a composite pavement. Composite pavement means asphalt topping over concrete. Of these approximately 8 miles of composite streets, 4 miles are in really bad shape, very poor shape. In 2017, our consultant did a PACER analysis. PACER stands for Pavement Surface Evaluation Rating. It is a rating of the pavement, generally used by many municipalities. They came up with a rating system for the first 4 miles of condition 2 and condition 3. Condition 1 is the west, condition 2 is the next west. So my proposal is to pave these very poor streets instead of reconstructing it, because to reconstruct a mile of street, it will cost us approximately $2.7 million. It is based on what we spent recently on Johnston Street. To reconstruct Johnston Street, that is only 0.43 miles, we spent about $1.2 million to reconstruct 0.42 miles of a residential street. If you extrapolate that, it equates to approximately $2.7 million a mile. Whereas my proposal to mill and resurface is approximately $800,000 a mile. Now, to pave these 7-8 miles of residential, to reconstruct these 7 or 8 miles of residential streets at the rate of $2.7 million at the present rate, it will take at least 25 years to reconstruct these streets. And then you all know very well we don't have that much amount of money. My plan or my proposal is, or I think in this way, that we as a parent provide bread and milk to our kids rather than go and buy a Cadillac. So I am trying to provide the best way possible to our residents with what is within our means. Some of the streets are in very bad shape, and we have been hearing complaints about that quite frequently. So by doing this mill and resurface, I believe we can at least provide a street that is in reasonable condition, satisfiable to our residents, provide better service to our residents, improve the morale of the residents, and then also improve the image of the city as a city maintaining its infrastructure. Now, this year we started a program for pavement reconstruction. Not pavement, concrete pavement repair. We divided the city into 13 sections. And then we started with the section 1 and 2 earlier this year, that is in July. We completed section 1 and 2, and then we have just completed section 3. Our consultant came up with an estimate of approximately $700,000 per section. Now, luckily, we completed section 1 and 2 for $567,000. Their estimate was almost $1.4 million. Luckily, we completed section 1 and 2 with $567,000. Section 3 was started in end of October, and then it is just completed. And then so far, their invoice is only $274,000. Again, the estimate was $700,000. So that provided us some leverage to find this money in case we proceed with resurfacing the street. So that is my proposal. And you also might have seen the report from Mr. Blum saying that we have some money available in local street fund in case we want to proceed with this one. I am not at all discounting that reconstructing is not a good idea. Reconstructing is the best solution. But then, unfortunately, we cannot afford that. Our citizens cannot wait for another 20 years or 25 years by the time we come up with the $2.7 million to reconstruct 1 mile of street. So this is a simple way of at least maintaining our infrastructure to provide the best possible infrastructure to our citizens within our means. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Abram?
Well, sure. Thanks, Mr. Abraham, for coming forward, for sure. Yeah, I think we've got two options here. Going with the asphalt, 800,000 per mile, or 2.6 million per mile to reconstruct. Of course, the portions of street are not a mile long that we would need to do that for. It'd be various parts throughout the city. I guess I'd just be interested. I know some residents we wouldn't be getting to in the next year or two, or like you said, 25 years. I think we'd have to maybe discuss to greater detail how that would work out. It's going to take a while to get to all these streets, but I'm just interested to know, I guess, what the rest of council's thinking about, because if we do them and they last 15 years, we'd be revisiting again in 15 years for those same sections. My feeling is reconstructing seems like a better idea, although we'd even take longer to get to the streets, of course, as Mr. Abraham said. But I guess one thing I was interested in seeing was if we could get like and I think I sent this in an email, the last time that at least some streets throughout the city were touched, to have a better idea of what is happening in Eastpointe with the concrete streets, because I know, like, for example, my street's a 5, and I don't think we need to touch that anytime soon. Seems fine for, driving 25 miles an hour down. But of course, the 2s and 3s are in really bad shape for sure. I'd just like to have an idea of that. I see we have 15 and 25 years. And I was also interested in, so did you come up with those numbers with AEW then? I guess, I'd like to, hear a little about that too, because I'd assume it's not always just going to be exactly 15 or exactly 25 or whatnot. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman. Two things. One is this $800,000 per mile is not an engineered cost. It is an approximate cost. It is based on my experience. Mm-hmm. During my previous job, I planned, programmed, and coordinated the paving of over 1,600 miles of streets. So this 800,000 is purely based on my experience or my estimate. Mm-hmm. AEW, our consultant, gave me an estimate. Their estimate for resurfacing 1 mile of street with no base repair is $1,375,000. That is simply the construction cost. And then if you add the design and engineering and inspection, it equates to $1.6 million. Now, they are proposing, if we have to do, let's say, assume 30% of the pavement or the concrete pavement is in bad shape and it need to be reconstructed, their estimate for the construction cost alone is $2.1 million, which equates to approximately $2.5 million if you add the engineering and inspection and the design cost. So $2.5 million is the cost which they came up with to simply resurface, mill and resurface 1 mile of street. To reconstruct a street, we paid only $2.6 million. So for me, I cannot live with, or I cannot accept a cost proposal, something like that. That means simply to mill and resurface is $2.5 million. To reconstruct is only close to $2.7 million. So that is why I did not consider, to answer your question, I did not consider the proposal submitted by AEW. And then why they came up with that much of cost is because they have a different approach. That means they assumed that while resurfacing, a lot of driveway approaches and the curb need to be replaced. And then at the foot of the curb, at the foot of the driveway approach, we have to do extensive hand patching. Now, my proposal is simply to mill and resurface within the boundary or curb to curb. That means no further, no need to go any further than the curb side. So limiting our work only from curb to curb, mill 3.5 inches, replace with 3.5 inches with heavy duty asphalt. So that is the difference between my proposal versus our engineer's proposal.
I
Is that,
understand.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Now, I understand where you were coming from, saying where we are today as far as streets before we say, let's do this, let's see where we, that's what he was saying, Mr. Abraham. Let's see where we are today as far as, you know, the chart of how many streets we did so far and what we did with those streets. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, I guess I was just curious, like, when was the last time, like, my street was done, or, you know, various streets throughout the city that are, especially I was wondering, like, the 4s and 5s, just how long ago were those concrete streets repaved? Because it should be, I'd guess, getting close to 25 years then for the 4s and 5s. But I was just curious because I think these ones with that are in real bad shape with the composite, when was the cap put onto those for a lot of those streets? When was that done?
I can look into that, Councilman.
Okay.
I don't have that available with me now.
I think that would help with
The decision, yeah.
because I would think that we should have those numbers. I don't know if we can integrate it with the Pacer report or something. I don't know. I'm just coming up with that off the top of my head, but
Well, I guess what I was thinking is he just wants to do the ones that have the Pacer rating of 2.
right.
So this report was done in 2017. I'm guessing that some of these 3s are probably getting close to 2s now.
Yes.
So if we were gonna reconstruct streets, even if we did those, we could still reconstruct other ones that are gonna become a 2 in the next year, that aren't already a 2 possibly, that aren't on this list. So I feel like we have a lot of streets that are gonna need attention, not just these 2s, within the next 5 years. And if we spend the next 5 years just working on these 2s, we're just always gonna be behind. And actually, the 3 list's a lot longer than our 2 list. So we're gonna end up with a lot more 2s if we can't start making some progress.
Yeah, I think I would go with Councilman DeMonico's idea as far as we want to see where we are today before we spend more money going forward. So if you can give us, you know, some charts and things like that of the streets that we already done, but what number they are in the Pacer rating and the max of warranty that they have, we can go from there. Oh, you know, get some ideas and then go, yeah.
And like you said, Councilwoman Lucido, some of these streets are right next to, some of the 2s are right next to 3. So it seemed like that'd be a good chance to do it all at once then, right? We wouldn't want to visit half another time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, it's hard when we can't do all of these in 1 year for sure. So it's not an easy decision for sure.
So if you can send us some of that information by email, or I can either sit down and talk more with you one-on-one, so I can get a better idea.
Either way is fine with me, ma'am.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna, go ahead, Mr. Cotton, sound like you
Yeah,
want to say something.
so with that additional information collection, if we get it together, I assume you'd like it on the next agenda, or would you like it into the new year?
I don't think that we're necessarily like in a hurry, so I think the beginning of the new year would be a good time to bring this back to council.
You guys agree?
The meeting in January,
Yeah.
the first meeting in January?
Yeah, I know you can have it by January, correct?
One thing I have to caution you is that the construction season starts in April. That means, then we have to develop the contract documents in case we want to proceed with resurfacing. The earlier we advertise and take bids, it is the better. Because by February, March, April, many municipalities advertise for bids, and then the contractors bid on these contracts, and then if they have their handful, we won't get a better price. So it is always the better to have it advertised and get the bids somewhere in January or no later than February.
Okay.
Did we have a current, if we went with our current capital improvement plan, what was our next project? Did we have, or do we not have a project that we were planning on doing for?
I believe it's
Side
Donald
Street
Street.
right Oh, okay,
Donald
Donald,
Street
yeah.
only- Donald Street is for water main replacement, sir. For the reconstruction, we have few streets of reconstruction in the proposed capital improvement project, and then I submitted this proposal as an alternate to Mr. Sabota. So I don't know whether you have seen
Okay.
that, Councilman.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna table this, correct?
But you were saying, the report that we just got, well, I saw we got another letter today. You were asking, what didn't we get, you thought, maybe?
Okay.
I submitted the resurfacing of streets, the composite streets, as an alternate proposal in my CIP. That was in June that I submitted to Mr. Joseph Sabota at that time.
Okay. Not sure.
Well, can you resubmit it to council then?
Mr. Cotton has that, yes.
Okay, can you give it to council then? 'Cause
Yes.
like, don't have it. Okay, I think you're still up there for a while, Mr. Abraham.
Well-
The next item,
Well,
you want to
we-
say something, Councilman?
we got to do something to item A. We just can't leave it laying on the table. So if we're going to table it, we need a motion so the table until the first meeting in January, right?
It was just a discussion.
Yeah, I defer to the city attorney because I had just leaned over and said it's discussion, so it didn't need any action of any kind. However, I'm sure if Madam Mayor and council wants to, that there's no harm done. Is that correct? That's correct. I gave a good legal opinion. Thank you.
It's a regular item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, so I would move to table item A, residential streets resurfacing, until the first regular meeting in January.
Well, we don't need to table it because of the discussion. I tabled it and then.
Well, it doesn't say discussion on our agenda, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you turn the page on the back,
All right.
it says, is a discussion. We don't have to make.
Well, it says city manager's recommendation, approval of a recommendation from Joseph Abraham, Director of Department of Education Works.
Okay, my bad. We were doing a lot on Friday.
Well-
I understand the confusion.
I'm new at the job, I just want to do it right.
No, you're doing it great. I'm the one that's, no, the second motion is, the last item is what was intended. So, thank you. I
So it
understand.
was intended to be a discussion, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that is Mr. Cotton's fault.
Absolutely.
And I guess I wouldn't want to prevent this from coming up at one of the December meetings too, if
Right.
we get all the info, and so sooner is fine. too,
Okay,
but-
I withdraw my motion.
Okay, going next to item B, the adoption of resolution number 1888, local agency pavement warranty program. Mr. Abraham, sounds like you again.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor. Public Act 175 of 2015 requires each local road agency to adopt a local pavement warranty program acceptable to Michigan Department of Transportation. The goal of this local agency pavement warranty program is to standardize the review, to provide oversight of pavement warranty projects, and to make this program more transparent and uniform for private sector contractors. However, it comes with a heavy price though. Road agencies could face increased project cost related to higher bid prices and cost for the warranty administration, such as pavement monitoring, defect documentation, official notification, joint field inspection, defect remediation, and dispute resolution. But the Act stipulates that each municipality has to adopt a resolution and then submit a report to Michigan Department of Transportation if we have any project over $2 million in federal or state aid. So that means this is something that is required by the Public Act of 175. And the very next item in the agenda, that is to consider implement the resolution. Again, that resolution is to implement the local pavement warranty program, but the act give us a choice or an option. We have the option to implement or not to implement. So that's why I emphasized consider implementing that program. But this ordinance, this resolution 1888, it is a requirement under the Public Act, and then we are required to provide a report to the state of Michigan Department of Transportation every year whenever we have a project of over $2 million. Luckily, in the immediate future, we don't have any $2 million project, but in year 2022 and year 2023, we will have a project for more than $2 million. That is when we are going to reconstruct 9 Mile from West City Limit to Gratiot, that is in year 2022, and then year 2023 from Gratiot to Tuscany. So though we have 2 federal aid projects upcoming in 2020, that is the reconstruction of Old 8 Mile and then the reconstruction of Topher, both are well below 2 million. So we don't have an immediate need of submitting any report, but the act stipulates that every agency has to adopt a resolution. That's why I have submitted this before this honorable body.
Okay. Questions?
Were you about to make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I motion to adopt resolution number 1888, local agency pavement warranty program as required by the Michigan Legislative, MCL 247-663, and to consider a warranty on each project utilizing any state or federal funding that also includes $2 million or more in paving-related components, and to submit an annual report on projects with $2 million or more in paving-related items, regardless of whether the warranty is implemented or not.
Support?
I have move and support. Any questions before we go forward? Call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is adoption of resolution number 1889, implement a local pavement warranty program.
Madam Mayor, I motion to adopt resolution number 1889 to agree to consider the implementation of a local pavement warranty program.
Support?
I have move and support. Call the roll, please. I think Councilman DeMonico won that one.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is item D, the bid award for a push reel camera.
Madam Mayor, I motion to award the bid for a push-reel camera with programmable locator and transmitter at a total cost of $8,095 as offered by the Safety Company, DBA, the M-Tech Company, 7401 First Place, Cleveland, Ohio, 44146, and authorize the interim city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Support.
Beat me that time.
He really tried to.
I was just curious if Mr. Abraham or anyone just wanted to let everyone know what this is, because it's probably not super obvious.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Councilman. This push reel camera, actually, as its name suggests, there is a camera in front of a hose, if you may, and then the hose is actually in a reel. And then whenever there is an obstruction in a small pipe, we cannot do, or there is no other way rather than to send the camera, and then we can see the camera will relay the picture to a monitor. So we can see whether the pipe is broken, whether it is blocked by roots or some other obstruction, whether it is detached from the catch basin, and then, so this is a mechanism to find whenever there is a sewer problem or a water main problem, basically sewer problem, whenever there is a flooding or whenever a resident has a backup problem in their basement or whatever, this is the mechanism we use. We had a hose reel camera that was purchased about 15 years back. It has been out of order for 3 years. So when I joined the city, and then after a few months, then one of my staffs came and told me about this, the importance of this one, and then believe or not, then we were borrowing the camera from our neighboring city whenever we had a need, or sometimes engage the contractor. So this item is in current year's budget, so that is why I immediately advertised this one, and we received luckily the bids. So this will help us a lot to isolate what the problem is whenever there is a sewer repair needed.
What's the warranty on it?
I believe if my memory serves, ma'am, it comes with only 1 year warranty, but I could be wrong. I can get back and then report to you on that.
Okay. Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Can you please call the roll?
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is pressure reducing valve at 8 Mile and Kelly to purchase and installation. Mr. Abraham, would you like to speak on this, please?
Sure, ma'am. We have a pressure releasing valve, or PRV, at 8 Mile and Gratiot. We are getting, as you know, we're getting water from Detroit, and then they are pumping the water at between about 70 to 80 psi. And then the pressure reducing valve, or PRV, is something like a surge protector, easy to understand. So that means when they are sending the water in between 70 and 80 psi, our PRV at 8 Mile and Gratiot, that reduce the pressure to somewhere around 42, around 42, because our pipes cannot take the pressure of 70 to 80. That is why we need a PRV. Mm-hmm. And then we have only one PRV. The other one we had at 8 Mile and Kelly, that went out of order several years back. Mm-hmm. So we are in a precarious situation, a couple of grounds. One is that if the PRV at 8 Mile and Gratiot goes bad, we are in real trouble, because then the water pressure could be what we are getting from Detroit, and then that could damage many pipes, many water mains, because our infrastructure is real old, and that the pressure is considerably higher than what our pipes are used to, so it is a major problem. Secondly, if we install a PRV at 8 Mile and Kelly, that acts as a redundant, or that means in case one goes bad, we have another one. Mm-hmm. And then luckily, we did a water reliability study recently. I received the report from our consultant, and they are heavily recommending an alternate solution. That means the alternative is, as of now, we can, in some area, especially in the northwest section of the city, the water pressure comes close to about 21 psi during the peak hour, 21 psi. The bare minimum you need is 20 minimum, or sorry, if it is 20 or below, the groundwater can infiltrate into the water main, and that is a grave situation. So the northwest section of the city, we have 6-inch water main, very small area, we have 6-inch water main. So they are recommending that in case if we install this PRV at 8 Mile and Kelly also, in addition to the one we have at 8 Mile and Gratiot, we can maintain a pressure of, even during the peak hours, 33 to 44 psi, and then maintain adequate pressure. And even when there is a fire demand, we can provide adequate pressure in our water system. And then secondly, this will act as a redundancy measure. That means in case one goes bad, we have the other one. And then GLEWA have a contract with one of their contractors to maintain the pit. Actually, the pit where we are planning to install this PRV belongs to GLEWA, Great Lakes Water Authority. We only have to purchase the PRV, the machine itself, the PRV itself. And then the PRV is going to cost $20,000 plus. The quote is in your proposal or in the agenda item. And then altogether, it is going to cost us approximately $106,000, including the cost of the PRV, the installation, the design, and altogether it is about $106,000. So this is an absolutely necessary item that we have to have. And then I really request your approval of this one, Madam Mayor and the council person.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is obviously something we've talked about for some time now, and I think
Years.
a great idea. I'm sure everyone in the audience would agree too. How does it work? I guess I'm interested about, so are all the rest of the pipes then at 8 and Kelly that we need? We just install this, and then we can essentially turn on the water from Detroit at that point. Is there any other work we need to do to make sure we're all set there?
No, sir. Once the PRV is installed or commissioned, and then when GLIVA completes their part of the repair in the pit, then we can operate both PRVs. And then that is the most reliable, that is the most desirable thing that we can do as a municipality to maintain proper water pressure even during peak hours.
Okay. So essentially just the water is essentially shut off right there right now then.
Yeah.
And we just need to put the PRV in so that we of course are handling the pressure correctly. And then are there any like tests we need to do or anything to make sure?
Of course, then before we commission, of course, we will do all the necessary tests. Actually,
Okay.
this item has been under discussion for the last 3-4 years. You might have seen or heard about this one. So when I saw or when I was apprised of the need or the importance of having another PRV, that's why then I met with GLIVA and their contractors constantly, and then with so many phone calls and emails, then we are here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is exciting, I think.
I would like to point out that the PRV at 8 and Gratiot, we had to do a complete reconstruction, and that cost close to $650,000. And then when we had looked at this 8 and Kelly one about 5 years ago, we were looking at a reconstruction that we estimated between $350,000 and $400,000. So the fact we're getting it for $106,000 is phenomenal.
And I guess you made me think of another question then. Are we going to have the backup power at that one too? Like we've got the UPS right now I know we installed that after, the second time we had.
That is part of this one, Councilman. As I said earlier, the pit actually is owned by GLIVA, and then since we are going to install this PRV and then we appraise them of the need for having this PRV installed, though it is not in their schedule, they have agreed to do their part.
Yeah.
And then, so there is an item in this agenda to pay Motor City to do the necessary connection so that, then it will read the water pressure for us also. So that is already included here to answer your question.
Okay. Yeah, it's a SCADA system that
Yes.
we have at
Yeah.
the same stuff we have at the other one.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds like you want to do,
Oh, you want me to read
So do
this
you,
book
you
of
need,
motion?
I'll go ahead. Do you need a motion? So, all right.
Well, I think the price, real quick before you read it, the price for this number 2 was different in the recommended motion area than, I think it's supposed to be the 57,000 number?
Yes,
Right.
Councilman. Yes.
Okay.
57 even?
It's 57, 747 and 51 cents. And then go ahead and read that motion.
And how many
Councilman
cents?
Chris.
41?
51.
51, wow.
Yeah, make sure we pay him
70
that dime.
Okay, give me that figure again.
It's 57,
57, yeah.
747, 51 cents.
Okay. Okay, motion for the city of Eastpointe to issue a purchase order to purchase a PRV specified on the attached quote from Jet Pump and Valve CCL in the amount of $20,392. Number 2, issue a purchase order to LGC Global in the amount of $57,727.51 for the installation of the PRV. Number 3, issue a purchase order of LGC Global for the amount not to exceed $7,500 for the installation of electrical conduits and electrical panel. Number 4, issue a purchase order to Motor City Electric Technologies Incorporated in the amount of $15,928 for the SCADA system for the new PRV and authorize the director of the DPWS to execute a license agreement with GLWA regarding a customer data connection to their wholesale billing meter and pay for the service calls as shown on attachment 1 of the agreement as and when occurred.
Support.
Moved in support, call the roll, please.
Just one clarification from the attorney here. You did say $57,747.51, right?
That's close.
Mr. Crowley?
Or? Oh, okay. Well, if he didn't, then that's what,
Did I say that?
You said 727.
Oh,
okay, so you
wow.
did catch him. Okay.
Okay.
Rich is paying real close attention here.
Well, he's the attorney. He's got good ears.
Oh, we're getting paid for it, huh?
Got better ears than I do. Okay, thank you.
We got a motion, and it's been supported. Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is Class 2 sand. Mr. Abraham, you again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You may know that I have been with the city for 7 months and 19 days now. When I joined, I have seen that for so many items that we routinely buy, we did not have any contracts. I believe in transparency, proper authority, and proper approval, and then go as per the books. So then I developed the RFQ. It took some time to prepare the RFQ. There was no sample document or template available, so I had to prepare the RFQ. Anyway, we issued the RFQ. We received 9 proposals. This sand, actually, we say class 2 sand. This sand is actually used to backfill whenever we have a sinkhole or a water main break or a sewer break. This is the sand we use to backfill. Or we use aggregate also, but then we use sand also on top. So out of 9 proposals we received, the lowest is by a company called JT Express Limited. Ironically, that's the same company whom we purchase sand now, but they happen to be the lowest bid also at $8.98 a ton. We project our average use per year is about 3,000 tons, so it may cost us approximately $27,000 a year. So I recommend your approval of this purchase order, ma'am.
Mr. Abrams, just so you know, we all appreciate your transparency up here, trust me. Madam Mayor, I motion to approve a contract with JT Express LTD, P.O. Box 204, Emily City, Michigan 48444, for an initial period of 3 years with an option to renew for an additional 1 2-year period to purchase Class 2 sand at the cost of $8.98 per ton. The estimated quantity of the purchase is 3,000 tons per year. Total yearly estimate cost is $26,940.
Support.
Move in support. I think Councilman DeMonico beat you again. Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item, G, we're going to be talking about 21 AA. Tell us more about that, please, Mr. Abraham.
That is a name, I don't know what that name implies, ma'am, but it is in simple terms, it is aggregate. It is crushed stone or aggregate, we call aggregate. It is size 21, that is why it is called a 21AA. It is the acronym or abbreviation of the material called aggregate. Again, aggregate is used again to backfill the holes as a result of water main or sewer main or sinkhole or a catch basin collapse. We don't use sand alone. We use aggregate on top, and then at the bottom we use sand. So this aggregate is also required to backfill the holes. Again, we have no contract whatsoever. This is my effort to have proper contracts in place with the proper authority and approval, and that's what I am trying to do, ma'am. So we issued the RFQ. We got 6 proposals, and the lowest happens to be a company by name Supreme Soils LLC, and that is $15 a ton. So Unfortunately, it is little more than what we pay now, but then this is the lowest out of all the 6 bids we received. That is $15 a ton.
Madam Mayor, I motion to contract with Supreme Soils LLC to purchase approximately 3,000 tons of 21 AA material annually for an initial period of 3 years with an option to renew for a 2-year period. Estimated amount of purchase is $45,000 per year.
Support?
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes, next item H is hauling and disposal of activated dirt. Mr. Abraham?
Ma'am, again, this item is to hold the dirt from our yard. If any one of you have come to our yard, you might have seen probably about a huge pile of dirt sitting in our yard. Those are dirt hauled from wherever we had water main or sewer main break or catch basin break or street collapse, whatever. So we have to excavate and then haul that dirt to our yard, and then a contractor comes and then hold that dirt away from our yard. We have been using a company called JT Express. Fortunately or unfortunately, out of the 6 proposals we received, they are the lowest. So they will bring their own truck and a driver to haul or to load the dirt into an open truck. And that's why there are 2 proposals here. One is, if the city provide a driver and a loader, they will haul at the rate of $10.85 a yard. And if they bring their own loader and a driver, it is $12.35. So my recommendation is to go with the contractor bring their own truck, their own loader and a driver. Otherwise, they may come once or twice in a day, and then we have to have one of our staff persons available in the yard waiting for this guy to load the dirt, and then that is not a wise use of our time. So that's why I am recommending a contract to be awarded for the contractor to bring his own loader and a driver, and then at the rate of $12.35 a yard.
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve a contract with JT Express Ltd. to haul and dispose of approximately 3,000 yards of excavated dirt stored at the DPWS yard at 17750 10 Mile Road at the cost of $12.35 a yard, using contractor-provided loader and driver for the amount of $37,050 per year for an initial period of 3 years with an option to renew for 1 2-year period, and authorize the interim city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Support.
Any questions? Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is lead and copper test results and line replacement. Mr. Cotton, you want to speak on that?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I want to say that our Public Works Department has been involved in complying with all the state laws. What's before you tonight are some results of the testing that's been done, and also some suggestion to go above and beyond. There is a suggestion there that our lead line, our customers that have lead lines anywhere, which Director Abraham will explain, there has been no serious consequences to that we've determined, but should someone want to test that water, in addition to the testing that you'll hear about, I think a policy question is whether you would like to assist them by information or whether you'd like to assist them by supporting the cost. So I just want to make that clear. The letter in front of you supports that with information. So that's a policy judgment, depending on how much you want to go above and beyond or how you want this to go. So we have a little subgroup, Assistant City Manager Brian Fairbrother, myself, Director Abraham and his staff, and also a gentleman from AEW met, I think, 3 times on this subject. And we wanted to bring you the results of our thinking. Thank you, Director Abraham. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. As required by Section 7(1) of the Safe Drinking Water Act 399 of 1976, or it is safely called SDWA, Safe Drinking Water Act, Public Act 399 of 1976, and the administrative rules and procedures of EAGLE. EAGLE stands for Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Engineering. I'll be using that term quite frequently, EAGLE, EGLE, EAGLE. Again, it stands for Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Engineering. As per the administrative rules of EAGLE and Public Act 399, the municipalities are required to test a certain number of, test waters from certain number of residents. The number of residents to be tested depending upon the population. Above 100,000, they have, the municipality has to test 50 samples. And then from 10,001 to 100,000, we have to test water samples from 30 residents. Now, while doing the testing, there are two samples we have to collect. One is the first liter, the second one is the fifth liter. And the water has to be stagnant for 6 hours. So we sent about 100 letters to our residents, and initially only 14 agreed to participate. Then we had to call, and then finally we got 30 residents to participate. We provided them the samples, we provided them the instruction how to collect the water, and then we told them that the water has to be stagnant for 6 hours before they collect the sample. They have to collect the first liter from the faucet. It is cold water. And then let 3 liters go, and then collect the fifth liter. And then once it is collected, give both samples to us. So we collected 30 samples finally, and then sent it to GLEWA, that is Great Lakes Water Authority lab in Detroit. They tested all the 30 samples, gave us the result, and then 2 samples came above 15. That is, the 15 is the action level, or 15 means 15 parts per billion, ppb, 15 parts per billion. So out of 30, 2 samples came above 15, and then all the rest came below 15. Or 2 came at 15, and all the rest came below 15. What does 15 means? 15 is not a scientific number or anything, or it doesn't mean that if it is below 15, it is dangerous, or above 15, it is so dangerous. I am not saying it is not ideal. Ideal is 0. It is ideal not to have any lead at all in the drinking water. But unfortunately, even this bottled water has 5 ppb, 5 parts per billion, even this bottled water. So where does this lead comes? It comes from, it could be a lead service line, it could be a soldering, or it could be an old lead pipe. Even it is in your faucet. If your kitchen faucet was installed before 2014, it may have some lead in it. So the best way to do is to test your water if you can, or let the water go for probably few minutes before you drink it, or use it for cooking, whatever. Now, the 15 parts per billion is not a health-based number. It was set in 1991 based on the feasibility of reducing lead through corrosion control. Now, as required by EAGLE, we send the test result to EAGLE for them to certify. That means they have to certify the 90th percentile. 90th percentile, in our case, we don't know, but then our expectation is that it could be 15. If it is above 15, there are certain things that we have to do, just like you might have heard what Sinclair Shores has done recently. We have to issue a press release. We have to we have to hold the press release, and then we have to issue public instructions, and then we have to offer assistance to the residents to have their water tested, and then some municipalities even provided free water filters to the residents and whatnot. So again, EAGLE has 60 days approximately to send us the 90th percentile. Again, in our case, only 2 came above 15, or which is the action level, and then 2 are at 15. All the rest 26 are below or well below 15. Even our school district, they tested water from all the schools in the city of Eastpointe, and then it is much, much below the action level of 15, luckily. So what we are the sooner we received the test result, that was in the first week of October, we sent the result to each and every resident from where we collected the sample. So we let them know, and the 4 residents, that is 2 above 15 and 2 at 15, we sent them the instructions as to what to do, and then we gave them free water filters also. So there is one other thing that we are planning to do, ma'am. We have 1,313 lead service lines in the city out of 13,500 plus residents, so approximately 10%. St. Clair Shores, I heard that they have only 3% of lead service lines. Now, we have unfortunately about 10. So we are planning to, as part of this proposal, we are planning to replace the lead service lines next year, while we are going to replace the water main. The Public Act 399, that is a Safe Drinking Water Act, prohibits replacement of water main alone or without replacing the lead service line. They call it as partial replacement. That means until last year, even when we replaced the water main along Johnston Street, we replaced only the water main, because anything from the water main onwards, it is supposedly installed by the homeowner or the homeowner's contractor or whatnot, because ideally from the water main onwards, it is their responsibility. We go from water main to the Starbucks, and from the water main to the Starbucks, then it is our responsibility. Anything beyond the Starbucks is ideally the homeowner's responsibility. But because of the issue what you have heard or seen in Flint, now it is banned. That is, partial replacement is banned as per Public Act 399. That means the municipality has to absorb the cost of replacing the lead service line from the main all the way to the house or up to the meter, the water meter. And then that cost, recently Garden City awarded a contract to replace their lead service lines. They have 71 lines, lead service lines, and the average cost came to $3,505 a line. So we have been planning to replace the water main on Donald Street, but because of this issue we have been hearing, we suspended that. And then recently Mr. Cotton had meeting with our consultant AEW, and they came up with the design and the plans for replacing the lead service lines also. A few months back, this honorable body authorized the approval of a contract with the AEW for them to do the design of this lead service lines. Now, they are in the process of doing the lead service line design, and for us to proceed with taking bids to replace the water main on Donald Street as well as the lead service lines. So, Mr. Cotton was earlier referring to the testing. In our case, luckily, it was tested by GLEWA's lab, Great Lakes Water Authority's lab in Detroit. They did it free. They didn't charge us any money. And then what we did was, we took the sample from these 4 residents where it came at 15 and then above 15. We sent it to a private lab in Livonia, and then they charge $31 a sample. So since there are 2 samples, the first liter and the 5th liter, we have to pay $62 per resident. So that means to test it at a private lab or from the sample from 1,313 samples, it is going to cost us at today's rate $81,406. So $81,406 if we have to test it at a private lab. and that means we have 1,313 lines. Now, it is all the more difficult to get the samples from the residents. Even if you find that $81,000, to get the sample from this 1,313 residents, I tell you, it is going to be so cumbersome and laborious. Even to get 30 samples, it was a chore. So getting 1,313 samples, it will be very, very difficult. As I said, this contract or the bids received by City of Garden City, the average cost came at $3,505. So in our case, since we have 1,313, it is at today's price, in case or whenever we replace these lead service lines, it is going to cost us anywhere at today's price $5.5 million. So again, the rules and procedures of Eagle says that we have to replace a minimum of 5%. And the 5% in our case is going to be 66 lead service lines a year. So 66 lead service lines at an average price of $3,505 plus the design cost and the inspection cost and all, approximately it is $4,200 per resident. So on Donald Street, we have 46 lines, I believe, on Donald Street. 48, sir. There are 48 lead service lines on Donald Street. So that is going to cost us approximately $275,000 based on, again, it is a rough estimate based on what the bids received by City of Garden City. Now, also in the package, in the agenda package, there is a letter addressed to our resident. That is a letter that we plan to send to all the residents whoever have a lead service lines in their household. This letter is basically to let the resident know what this lead service line is and then to educate them as to what they can do. And then there are so many brochures also attached to this one. So if the residents are interested, then we can tell them what they can do to reduce the impact of this lead. Now, earlier I said our goal is to have zero lead in the water. Now, the lead can impact the people in many ways, especially small kids. Then it can lower the intelligence, behavior problems, and learning disabilities. It can cause, then if the lead consumption or if they consume a lot of lead. Now, for pregnant women, it is not advisable for the fetus or the growing child. For adults, it can cause nervous system effects, high blood pressure, fertility problems, and kidney effects. So again, it is not an ideal thing to have lead in your drinking water, or it could be in paint. So it is not in drinking water alone. It could be paint, or it could be many other sources. So again, we are planning to send a resident, again with this body's approval, we are planning to send this letter to each and every resident, all this 1,313, just to educate them as to what they can do. One simple way is to, if the faucet is especially purchased before 2014 or even after, there is an aerator at the bottom of that faucet which you can take it out and then clean it and then put it back. That will help a lot. And then there are so many other things that the resident can do. Simple things like, vacuum the carpet frequently with a HEPA filter, and then don't use your shoe while you are inside. Wash your hands very frequently. So there are some simple things that you can do.
Can you tell the audience how much that would cost if they got their own test done?
The laboratory that we used, ma'am, that they charge $31 a sample. That means they have to collect they have to test 2 samples. One is the first liter, the other one is the 5th liter. Why it is first liter and the 5th liter means the first liter water you collect is basically sitting in the faucet. And then that will tell the result of if it has more lead content in that first liter sample, that means the problem is in your faucet or in the meter inside, the pipe inside your house. Now, if the problem is, or if the lead content is more in the 5th liter, that means it is the water that was sitting between the faucet and the stop box. That means that is the lead service line. So that is why they are insisting us to collect 2 samples, 1st liter and the 5th liter. So to answer your question, ma'am, it will cost a resident $62, or that is what we paid to the lab at Livonia called Paragon.
Okay, and you gotta go into the house to do the samples?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Now, the resident can collect the samples by themselves. We can provide them the water bottles, or they can use their own water bottles. Only thing is, we can provide them the instructions as to how to collect, and then what are the steps needed, and then where is the closest lab, and then all that information we can provide.
Mr. Cotton?
In the draft letter in your packet, there's, Director Abraham has provided a number of labs that'll do this. I think it's 25 or something. So there might be better rates if people shop around. If we want to do this, we can do some shopping around and see who's going to give a bulk discount. But yeah, it will cost something. To do it well, it's going to cost something similar.
And at this point, I was just going to ask what the current action then, so I see the motion here, we want to just essentially plan our 5% per year is the recommended action today?
Yes, sir.
And also know that we're going to send these letters out, so there'll be 1,300 residents that might ask you questions, and that we're giving them instructions on how to get it done as opposed to paying for the testing.
Okay, so we know, well, at least our records indicate that, 1,313 lead service lines exist, and we're sending letters to those households, you said? Okay. Did we contact, I was just curious, you mentioned the school system, of course, the Eastpointe Community Schools. What about Kepsel and Southlake? Because there's one Southlake school in Eastpointe too?
I believe they did that one too.
Okay.
I think St. Christopher's did their own testing, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken. I think
And then
it's
they
already
were
been done.
included.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's when,
Now,
Okay.
Mr. Blum, what if we want to do more lead lines other than the 5%? How much would that cost?
Well, it's $275,000 per 5%. So, double it if you want to do 10%, and so on and so forth. This would be considered capital money, so it can either come out of the $4.3 million a year that's currently generated by the Ready to Serve, but that would mean you'd have to reduce other projects. The other option would be to increase the Ready to Serve charge to generate the either 275 or more, depending on how fast the council wanted to replace these.
How much would the increase be on the ready to serve, fix these lead lines?
It'd be $2 per month just to do the 275,000.
I just want to put that out there on the cost of the residents.
What if I know we were building up the reserve for the water sewer fund. I don't recall the numbers off the top of my head. Pretty sure it was much more than 300,000 or 275,000 a year, right? What if we reduce that, spread that out over a longer period of time to build back the fund balance? Because I guess this is probably a project I'd kind of think that that would be
The most serious.
dedicated to, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's serious and yeah.
I think right now, I mean, in my opinion, maybe we should approve this for 2020, and then when we do budget, we can look at some different options to possibly increase it at that time
Yeah.
in June. Because right now, with our budget, I don't know how much more I'd want to spend with I don't want to get into a deficit, so.
That's why we have the finance director right here to let us know that. So I know you said if we want to increase it from 275,000, double that, will we have that to do if we wanted to do more?
Well, right now, of the $4.3 million in capital money, we only have projects of about $2.5 million. So there's some room this specific fiscal year. It's the out years that we already have projects planned that would either have to be cut back or, again, increase the rate to generate the extra revenue.
Okay, but we can Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Mr. Baum, or actually Mr. Abrams, isn't the plan to do all of Donald Street this year?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's going to be more than 5% already?
Donald Street has only 48.
It only has
So,
48.
Yes. What we are going to do is, then we have lead service lines. If you look into your package, ma'am, you will see that, for example, Saxony has 54 lead service lines within the block of 22,006 to 24,917. In that block, there are 54 lead service lines. And then why I listed that Saxony first is the water main on Saxony within that block has the highest criticality rate, or BRE. That means the criticality rate is derived based on a water asset management plan, based on the age of the pipe, the number of breaks, and then so it is a combination of so many factors. So the water main on Saxony has the highest criticality rate, or the BRE rate. That's why I listed it first. So Saxony is first. Second one is Normandy. There are 49 lead service lines. Ma'am, did you see? I'm sorry, ma'am. Did you see that item in the package?
Yes, yeah, I see it. I didn't see Donald on here, so that's why I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I don't know how it missed.
I might have missed it. There's
Yeah.
a lot of information here.
No, ma'am. I noticed today that it was missed here. Then on that page, but how I don't know. I'm sorry.
No,
That's okay.
it's on the front page. It's right here. Proposed.
Oh, is it on the, okay.
Yeah, proposed action.
So the third one could be Agnes, and then Fairwood, Lambert, Brittany. Brittany, for example, it has 106 lines. So our plan is to do Donald Street because we have the design already completed. It was completed actually a year back or so. So we have been deferring that because of this lead service replacement. So that means we will be adding some more, because remember the minimum is 66 based on the inventory we have. So we will add additional locations from other streets to meet that 66. And the act says that we have to replace all the lines within 20 years. We have only 20 years to complete that.
And is year one fiscal year 2021?
Yes.
So if we do Donald Street, we're a year ahead of time, right? So it should be, well, because this will be nice, we'll get a little bit of a head start at least. I'd assume essentially 21 years from now, you just got to be 100% done, right? So if we do 5% this year, we're essentially got to have 5% done the first year, 10 the second. Like if we did 5% this year and 4% the year after, I think we'd be fine with the spirit of this, right? Because we'd still have 9% done by the end of the first year if we're getting this head start. I mean, I hope we go further than that, but I just was curious.
Well,
Okay.
this should have been done a long time ago, so we actually behind if people got this much lead, correct?
Yeah, until recently, let's say when the Flint fiasco came, then people were not talking about the lead service line replacement also. And then believe it or not, from the Starbucks all the way to the house, it is private. It is private property.
Right.
That's why all this Oakland and Wayne County and Gleaver filed a lawsuit saying it is an unfunded mandate. Luckily, the lawsuit was turned down because they argued based on an unfunded mandate. They didn't argue based on it is a private property, it is the responsibility of the property owner because they are the one who installed it. The municipality has nothing to do with that one. That is the truth. The municipality has nothing to do with that one. It is private property, it isn't private property. They are the one who installed it or their contractor installed it. We have nothing to do with that as a municipality. But now the burden is on the municipality to replace.
Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate the whole state is not pitching in because some cities, of course, aren't going to have any lead service lines, the newer cities, and the old cities are going to be burdened again, like Flint, has been. So it's unfortunate, but I think we're all on the same page to obviously move forward with what we need to do.
Yeah, the older the community, the more they're going to have. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to, so.
Right.
Right. Now, what do you all think about the filters for $20? Do you think that should be something that we discuss about giving it to the residents?
I was wondering, when is you said 60 days, because I was thinking the same thing, Madam Mayor. We gave October 5th or
October 10th.
October 10th is when we submitted the,
Results to Eagle, yes.
so then, what, December 10th? So the second December meeting, we should know the results of that too.
The 90th percentile, yes.
Would that help us, I mean, I guess that'd help us make our decision on, or we could just motion to do it. I don't know, or maybe we get a little more info on a guess as to how much that would cost or whatnot. I don't know if, because if say the results come back high,
Above
Right.
15 action level, yes.
and then so we'd need to do what these other cities have been doing, right? You were saying, do. and
That is an
then-
ideal way, or I recommend, it is not mandatory or it is not required by the act to do. The act doesn't require us to collect the water, to test the water, to provide filter, anything like that. We only have to provide them assistance in giving them instructions or show them where they can do or what they can do, and then that's all the act says. So yes, Councilman, by on or before December 10th, we are supposed to get the 90th percentile, and then if the 90th percentile happens to be above that 15 ppb, the action level, then there are so many things that we have to do.
Yeah, but to reiterate, correct me if I'm wrong, the samples we saw and the results we saw are not above those levels.
I would rather not take action until we have more information on that part of it. I mean, I'm fine with approving the replacement of the lead lines starting in 2020, but moving forward with purchasing things, I think we need to have the information first.
Yeah, if we can address that maybe then at the second December meeting,
Okay.
for sure. Is that what you're thinking, Madam Mayor, too?
Well, yeah, I was thinking that, but the people that we did find that, over 15, they have received some, right?
They received the sample result as well as the
The filters?
yes.
Okay,
The city provided them, right? You
Yes.
said? Is that what we just?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
Though we are not required by the act, we on our
Right.
own, Mr. Cotton emphasized for that one, so we provided that on our own.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing by any means.
Any additional comments for Mr. Abraham? Council?
No?
Mr. Patton?
I'll move then that we authorize the DPW, Department of Public Works and Services, to replace at least 5% of the lead service lines in the city every year, starting fiscal year 2021 is what it said in the note, and it says 2020 in the motion, till all lead service lines in the city are replaced. Right,
Support.
2021 was the,
No, sir.
Appropriate
we
year?
want to do it in 2020 because Donald Street, we have to replace that water main. So as we are doing the water main replacement,
oh, okay.
we want to do the lead service lines also.
All right,
So
20,
we'll start a year early.
all right, 2020 then.
Yes, sir.
Move and support it, call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is schedule a public hearing on the draft recreation master plan. Are you all set, Mr. Abraham?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
You
having
want to have
patience
more
with
fun
us.
with us?
Thank you so much for doing that for us.
Madam Mayor, I motion to schedule a public hearing on the three-part Eastpointe, Roseville, and Rare Draft 2020-2024 recreational master plan for Tuesday, December 3rd at 7 PM.
Support.
Move and support it. Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is membership in the 8 Mile Boulevard Association. Mr. DeMonico, you might want to speak on that. I know last time when I was councilwoman, we both agreed to, going back into membership. What do you think now?
Sure, I'm still in favor of paying the dues for 8 MBA for sure.
What about the rest of council?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I've been associate with 8 Mile Boulevard since 1989, when it was first formed.
Well, can you tell the audience more about it since you
Well,
know so much about it?
been a long time since I haven't been there in 20-some years, so the presentation by the two young fellows was pretty good. So if you recall that conversation we had with them, but I think we ought to rejoin it.
Okay, sounds good. Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I motion that the city of Eastpointe rejoin the 8 Mile Boulevard Association with a membership cost of $2,400 a year.
Support.
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is the request for council to consider to amend various sections of the animal control ordinance.
Madam Mayor, I motion to direct Assistant City Attorney, to direct the City Attorney Albright to prepare ordinances regarding animal control for first reading at the City Council's December 3rd, 2019 meeting.
Support. Can we review?
Sure, we have our animal control officer in the audience. Do you want to help us go over this, if you don't mind? Come up to the podium. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Brian Pyler. I'm the Eastpointe Animal Control Officer. I service the city of Eastpointe and address animal-related issues.
Thank you for coming in tonight.
My pleasure.
Yes, can you go over a little bit of these ordinance that you want to foresee to be added on here and why?
Yes,
Thought they were important. You want him to go over everyone, or you have specific ones?
Well, I mean, we definitely don't need to read each red line for
Right.
sure, but because a lot of them are moving from 2 to 3 dogs. But I think a couple I just had questions, and I'm assuming probably just by introducing, you'd probably answer a couple of my questions, and then I think we'll just get more information in general from you because you're an expert.
All right. All right, so on the first page, the care of animals, as, you know, what I would like to have added is it shall be unlawful to house or leave a dog of any breed or size unattended outdoors between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. I would like to add, it shall be unlawful to house or leave a dog of any breed or size outdoors when the outdoor temperature is or is predicted to drop below 43 degrees or above 82 degrees. I would like to add housing a dog inside a garage or shed is considered providing inadequate shelter and further banned within the city. And I would like to add it shall be unlawful to tether a dog on a chain. I would like to add all animals impounded by the animal control officer are subject to boarding and microchipping fees upon their release. Such shall be paid for by their owner. Does anyone have any concerns
No.
with those?
Now, on number 6, when you said chain at any time, so if a person has a dog in their backyard and just for instance, it's not chained and that dog gets out, then, I mean, because I know you're saying don't chain them or anything like that is bad, it's abuse. So what about the protection of the residents, just in case that homeowner or that dog gets loose out the fence or anything like that? How do you keep the residents safe by, I mean, what other uses can you use?
The full ordinance was not included in that. They wanted the short, summaries of it.
Okay.
I still enforce tethering. That's what it's called. These cables, other sorts of, type materials you can buy at a pet store. Just chains is what I would like removed from that.
Okay.
Just the use of chains. However, tethering, with a wire, a cable, all that is still just as adequate.
Okay, thank you. Now, why did you choose to change 2 dogs to a home to 3 dogs?
Now, in the last, since November 2018, when I did first start here, the biggest thing I realized was the amount of animals that people had and how close the houses were together. Now, the city of Eastpointe is one of the only cities that offers something called kennel permits. And I worked for Macomb County Animal Control where we did not allow those. And I had, what I'm required to do is go to each neighbor and ask if they're okay with the resident owning however many dogs they had. Now, even if I had quite a few residents decline because of barking issues and public nuisances, and when I submit the decline, they are permitted to apply for an appeal. Now, when they did that, even the ones I declined were approved anyways. So I felt like that didn't make sense at all, when the residents are saying no. So I say, 3 dogs, I think, is a fair limit within the city, as long as properly maintained. So my like kind of deal was I will up the limit to 3, and then get rid of kennel permits.
So a lot of those folks had 3 dogs instead of 2 then?
Yes.
You're saying that? Yeah, most of them.
Out of all the kennel permits I went on, 76 of the kennel permits I investigated were for 3-dog households.
So you said the residents didn't want that many dogs because of the barking and things like that?
Yes.
And so it was declined, pretty much, you were saying?
Yes, they have the option to approve, to say, yes, I'm fine with it, or no, I'm not fine with it.
Right. So when they weren't fine with it and it went to you, they still was able to keep the dogs, it sounded like. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
When they were declined, like when I submitted my kennel permit report, whether they're, if they're approved, they got a letter of approval. If they were declined, like majority rules, kind of, there's 3 neighbors, 2 said no, 1 said yes.
Okay.
So that would be a decline.
Okay.
But they had 10 days to appeal it by sending to the city manager,
Okay.
who at the time was city manager Sabata,
Okay.
who then therefore approved the declined kennel permits.
Okay. So you're taking that whole option out of the residents saying it's a nuisance and things like that. You're taking that out of here and just approving 3 dogs. That's what you're trying to do.
Yes. And the majority of that were for more than 3. I've got households with 6.
So, but if I think maybe if there's excessive barking, we can still, in other ways, right,
Absolutely.
the PD can this is just in terms of the kennel permit, yeah.
Correct.
Right, yeah. Is that, so we could still investigate?
Yeah, I just don't want to take the freedom of someone saying in their community, this is too much, and saying, well, the ordinance say I can do what I want, and forget what you're saying. So I don't want that freedom of a nuisance taken away from anyone, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
If it's dogs barking and that person says what the ordinance say, I can keep as many, 3 dogs and forget what you're saying. I don't want to take that away from the residents.
Oh, absolutely. And the biggest thing would be enforcement on that. That doesn't mean they can do it, which further goes into the regulations and the ordinances that I wrote.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sure, I guess just for number 4, okay, yeah, 6 answered. So, let's see, so just, is this over, let's see, so overnight, no, wait, outdoors. So just for how long, I guess, for number 4 on that first page? If it's below 43 or above 82?
Well, typically, a lot of it is a common sense factor. A lot of it is, as you see a lot of, it's if you are cold, they're cold.
Yeah.
Let them go to the bathroom, do their business, then come inside.
Should we be assigning some sort of time frame to it, or?
I guess it would depend on the actual temperature, because it would be, like I have in here, the 43 degrees would be, you'd be able to leave the dog out at 42 degrees longer than you would at 30 degrees.
Right. Okay. And then, Mr. Albright, have you run through this yet, or you were waiting for a meeting? Okay.
I actually have put the ordinance changes in ordinance form. It was emailed to the council members back, I think it was October 11th.
Oh, okay.
And so this is ready to go. I have met with Mr. Pyler on occasion at the police department regarding his request, and again, I put it all into ordinance form. So it'll be ready to go at the next meeting if the council is comfortable with the proposed revisions.
Okay.
Any other questions for Animal Control? Brian? Anyone?
No, except after we have a motion for this, can I assume that once we have the second reading, probably the second meeting in December, that anybody comes and gets a dog license will get the revised ordinances for dogs, and anybody that hears the fact that we have changed it can come to City Hall and pick that up at the end of December?
Yeah, and I would probably recommend also, just to keep all the residents aware, like after we actually approve it, make sure it goes up on the city Facebook page, so.
Yeah. It would be at our December 17th meeting, I think, that we would
Right,
final.
so
Yeah,
people are aware of the new changes, so.
right.
Deputy
So,
City Clerk Fairbrother is signifying that's possible.
Madam Mayor, I would move that to direct the Assistant City Attorney Albright to prepare ordinances regarding animal control for the first reading at the city's council December 3rd, 2019 meeting.
Support.
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Can I,
You got
can I
one
ask
more thing?
one more question? So the part about, sorry, I had a few notes, too many notes here, not ordered very well. I think so the exotic animals part and, not allowing, so I guess what I'm getting to is, are we addressing, I didn't think so by reading this, addressing petting zoos at all? And
Yes.
you are. So even domestic animals,
Yes.
petting, we wouldn't allow them anymore?
No.
All
we would
right.
not.
So you're stopping petting zoos?
Not the ones for educational purposes, which is described in there,
Okay.
such as the 4-H, everything along those lines.
Okay.
This is petting zoos. We had, we are all familiar with, the petting zoo ban that's been like requested by a few select community members. However, there was a case in March of this year, 2018. It was in Florida, but it was domestic petting zoos where a 2-year-old girl contracted a disease from the animals and died. So we have one petting zoo a year. It's kind of, let's not even chance it. The chance of that happening. Because that's detrimental compared to having a petting zoo here for a day.
That's fine. That's fine with me. I was just I thought because like 6-68 or something on like that last page, I thought it was just saying the list of exotic animals, not the domestic. I guess that's why I was just asking for clarification.
The educational activity has to be by a organization, correct? Like you said, like the 4-H or something like
Yes.
that. Okay.
Okay, that was my last question.
Okay, it was moved and supported. Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Tax Reversion Committee vacancy appointment, which Ms. Lucido was on, and also former council member Kleinfeld. And his term he's gone now. He did a really good job when he was on it, so now it is vacant. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I can talk a little bit about this. So we did form a tax reversion committee, and we, through our time, we had the idea behind it was to write a policy. We pretty much have the policy completed. I think the only thing we were waiting for was the final step of getting our economic development manager in place for her to finalize it. So at this time, I don't know if it's necessary at this point to fill the vacancy. I mean, we can, but I don't see any more meetings coming until possibly after we have a policy in front of us that's voted on.
Now, since this is a whole new council now, I don't know if we need to have an appointment for a second person.
No,
Because
what
you
I'm
were
saying-
on the last one, correct?
Right, that's what I'm saying is right now we have the tax reversion, but I believe the policy has already been written. We were just waiting for the new economic development manager, because that's gonna be part of her job, to go over it before they presented it to council. That was the idea behind the commission, was just to write the policy. So then it'll come to us, and then we'll discuss our changes at that time that we wanna make, the council members that were not on the committee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, would discuss those changes at that time. We can fill it, but I'm just saying, I don't know if it's really necessary. I don't know if we'll be meeting again.
I think we're gonna go ahead and move forward and fill it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you still want to stay on it? That was really part of the
Oh,
question. 'cause
yes.
you were
I mean,
on it last
I
time.
would definitely like to stay on it, because I've been seeing this thing through, and, I don't want to start all over. I don't want to waste the last years of work, if we have all new members. I feel like we could totally backtrack from the progress that's already been made.
Okay, because I know you have the Arts Commission, Parks, this one, and library. That's 4 things
I
you're
don't have
on.
library. I just have parks and arts.
No, I put you on the library commission, because
I believe that Mr. Curley was
you
appointed to
were on it
library.
now?
I'm on the library.
Okay, you're on the library. I thought he was on the housing commission. And you're on the housing commission?
Pardon?
I'm gonna have to check my notes, because I thought that's where I appointed you to that, and I appointed him to the housing commission.
The library commission was a council appointment, and we appointed Mr. Curley.
I thought you said you were doing that. Okay.
And I have art, so Mr. Curley has 2 and I have 2.
Yeah, 2 and 2? Okay.
And Mr. DeMonico, how many do you have?
Yes, planning,
Um,
DDA.
Yeah, MML, DDA,
So you have
beautification.
3, and how many are you on, Ms. Owens?
I have none, so I'll be on this one then.
You have SEMCOG?
No, I have SIMCOG, MML.
Sanitary.
Yeah,
You're not MML, Mr. DeMonico, so you have 2.
okay.
So.
Now I
what-
have 3.
So
out
you
of
want to
3.
be on it?
Yeah, and you can help me,
Yeah,
assist me since you did so much on it.
definitely, I can forward you everything that we have.
Okay. So everybody had, okay, and then when we add another council member, of course, they can choose or have some interest in if they want to be added onto any of these other commissions.
Right.
So thank you for helping me with that. So can I get a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I motion that the City Council appoints Mayor Monique Owens to the Tax Reversion Committee for an indeterminate term until their work in making recommendations to the City Council as an ad HOC committee is completed.
Support.
Moved and supported. Can you please call the roll?
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is collection of 2020 summer taxes, Macomb Intermediate School District.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion, we move to authorize administration to collect the 2020 Macomb Intermediate School District summer taxes on behalf of the school district in accordance with MCL subsection 380.1611 et sec and 380.1613 subsection 1, with no expense charged to the school district.
Support.
Moved and supported. Can you please call the roll?
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 1890, charitable gaming license for Gianna House right here in Eastpointe.
Madam Mayor, I motion to adopt resolution number 1890, which recognizes Gina House as a nonprofit organization operating in the community for the purpose of attaining a charitable gaming licenses and recommends that the request be considered for approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Curley?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Added item, letter P, is vacant city council seat. And I know Councilwoman Lucido she added this on here, so talk more about it, please.
So when we originally discussed, appointing someone to the vacant council seat at the beginning of December, we never clarified how we were going to move forward after that. I know Mr. DeMonico had given us some dates if we wanted to have them run for an election. But we never actually made a motion to make it clear whether we were keeping them on for the full 2 years or if we were going to have them run, and if so, when. So I just wanted to bring it up because I think this should be decided before we actually do the appointment.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Mr. DeMonico, starting with you on that?
Let's see. So I think just in general, I think I like probably a shorter appointment time. But I think definitely the two best scenarios are we should just appoint as soon as reasonably possible. And then I think my favorite would be that we, let's see, sorry, just looking at my schedule here off the top of my head. November of 2020 be a special election, or not November, sorry, August, because that would be the first reasonable election. We're not counting the presidential primary, that's way too soon. Do an August 2020 special election, and that would fulfill until November 2021, and then that spot would have to run again. Otherwise, my second favorite would just be that the appointment be till November 2021. And we'd be appointing for almost 2 years.
So you're suggesting the August primary of
That'd be
2020?
my preference.
What do you think?
I
Mr.
agree with
Cito?
either of Mr. DeMonico's suggestions, either having them in August be on the primary ballot or just letting them sit for the 2 years. I'm open.
I think I'm gonna agree with you all. Actually, I prefer appointing to August 2020 and then let the residents choose an election, who they want as their next council person. So, can I get you need
Yeah.
a motion for that?
I would concur with that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll motion then that we, and it's got to be ranked choice, right? I hope so. All right. Well, we'll be doing 3 then instead of 2. All right. So I'll motion then that we do a ranked choice election on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020, for the open city council position.
Support?
Move and support it. Call the roll, please.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I motion to pay the bills for the total of $1,811,380.69.
Support.
Move and support it. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico.
Yes.
Next is the second hearing of the public. Would anybody like to come up and speak? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and where you live. Anybody have anything to say? Yes, Mr. Creech, please.
Madam Mayor, Harvey Creek, resident of Eastpointe. I have a couple of questions, and the first one is, under the water situation itself, you're talking about how many, you were talking about 5% up to 10%, and then again too, how many are we actually gonna have tested? That's the first thing I'm asking. And the second one, is the water contaminated already? And the third one is, does the water have the lead? And if the lead isn't coming from directly the pipes itself, where's it coming from? Is it coming, now is this water tested from the city before we get it? And then it's tested to us after we get it. So I'm gonna say, how many points is this water tested? And there again too, as I said, it says from the meter or the shut-off to the house, and you know, as I said, it's tested twice. Is there any way a resident can get the water tested himself? I'm saying, you know, I went through this once before, and as I said, the two-way situation, you know, you're talking about it's here and it's here. So now exactly what can the resident do? I'd like to know this. Yeah, what can a resident do if he doesn't exactly figure that the city's going to do it their way? And there again, on the master draft for the recreation plan, how's that going to work? I mean, as I said before too, I think I've asked you this question once before. And on the date that's going to be, is that date going to be December 3rd? At 7 o'clock? Yeah. Okay, that's what I say. I do appreciate it, because I really want to know, as I said, schedule a public hearing, and is that going to be at where?
Right here.
It's going, right here? Okay. And I say, on the animal control, that's a real good one. As I said, how can I, or do I have to come to the city itself and get a copy of the master control of what the gentleman discussed? So the residents will know exactly what the changes are. I mean, these are the questions I said. It's been a great informative, you know, a meeting, but there's a lot of questions. I don't know if anybody else in the audience would like to know, but I'd like to know the answers. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. After the hearing of the public, I'll direct Mr. Cotton to answer some of those questions you just asked, okay? Anybody else have any questions? Yes.
Name's Larry Edwards, resident of Eastpointe. I'd like to first start off saying congratulations, Madam Mayor and Council. My concern with the snow situation, by living on a cul-de-sac, it has been in the past that they're overlooked. It's the least concern way it's been prior. I was told at one time because of the amount of traffic and what have you. We still get snow, still paying taxes and what have you. So I disagree with putting it on the last of the totem pole and being overlooked. And I think it should be along with any other street and residence to be occupied. I mean, to be taken care of as well. With the asphalt that was mentioned and during the reconstruction of the streets and what have you, I was glad to hear that and being addressed and what have you. I commend Mr. Ryan and the Director Abraham for the job that they're doing. It seems like they're getting things done, which has been neglected for some time, and I've been here for a while in Eastpointe and what have you. And so I was glad to see the agenda and all the things being addressed and what have you. But as far as the asphalt, my question to that is, what is the durability? How long is that going to last? Is that going to end up costing more than having it reconstructed? Because asphalt has been known not to last that long and what have you, and especially when it gets hot in the heat that we can get here in Michigan and what have you. So that's just will be one of my questions in regard to that. I never, to look at how even the streets has been set up to be addressed as far as who gets streets worked on and who don't and everything that was adopted from Wisconsin. It don't make any sense anyway, and what have you. From 0 to 10, and 2 being really the worst and everything. I live on a street that's been 2, and was told that it was the least of their concern and what have you. But the way that
30 seconds, Mr. Edwards.
This program that they have adopted, it looks on the best streets to put money into their call, and they use the phrase of pre-prevented maintenance and everything. Take care of those and leave the others until it just falls completely apart. So from what I heard, I think that there's being addressed to turn that around, which should be and whatever. I don't know how nobody could ever considered something otherwise and what have you. So I hope these things are concerned, and I hope we've learned from past
You're over your
things
3 minutes, Mr.
that
Edwards.
we will look forward and go and move forward now.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Anybody else? The second hearing of the public is closed. We are going to mayor and council reports, starting with Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I got a couple things. First of all, this is my first regular meeting after 19 years, so there's a couple questions. I don't know if if you use the Roberts rules or the Sturgis rules. So if you can tell me tonight which one we use, I can read up on it. I've got them both at home, but I don't want to read them both if we're not. Which one do we use, Roberts or Sturgis?
Sturgis.
We do use Sturgis. Okay, that's important. Tonight I attended the library meeting. I'm the liaison to the library. I'm telling you, they got some exciting stuff. Gee whiz. First thing, write them down here. They have a Friends Holiday Bazaar on Thursday, November 21st, from noon to 7 o'clock at night. And they had handcrafted items, holiday treats, decorated book sets, and more. So write that down if you want to go over there and support the library. And then the next one is Thanksgiving Craft on Wednesday, November 27th. Wednesday, November 27th at 6 p.m. Children and their caregivers are welcome to come and create a Thanksgiving craft. So those 2 dates you want to write down, and they don't have to have anything going on to visit the library. If you haven't been over the library in a lot of years, They've done a lot of remodeling and they have a lot of great books. So visit the library and come back again. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Curley. Sound like you had some fun.
I did. I had a lot of fun. Yeah. It didn't last long, but it was fun. They're doing a great job. Very dedicated people.
They do. I think me and Ms. Lucido had the chance to be on that board as well, and I had a lot of fun. Actually, when I moved to Eastpointe, I found out the lady who left and sold me my house actually worked for the library. So that was really weird. So going back to council reports, Councilman DeMonico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, Mr. Creech, the animal control changes, and really anything we discuss up here will be in our agenda packet. We just have the shortened agenda usually back there, but online we have the whole packet. And if it's easier for you, just stop in the city manager's office, and they'll print you out something if you want those changes. But otherwise, we've got all of our past agendas online, all our past minutes. You can go back to 1929 online, so check it out. I have done that many times, just checking out old things. And the water issues, I want to definitely make sure we address those as soon as possible. And I think hopefully maybe I answer a question or two of yours, Mr. Creech, also. Right now, so of course in Flint, it was the whole system that was an issue. Here, that is not at all the case. We're testing at households that have lead pipes, though, the service line to their house. So it's just at that point where maybe there can be an issue, and that's what we're testing. We've got the 1,313 lines that we're mailing to. We're making sure we address that as soon as possible. I wish, as I said, the state was helping out. That was the unfunded mandate part we were talking about, where essentially the state's making every city do this, but they're not helping pay for it. So, but, we're going to take at least, I plan to take action either way. I wish the state was, but that's not the reality. Thank you, Mr. Thomas and Miss Elkie Doom. I see they're both in the audience, so if you didn't have a chance to talk to them, they're two city manager candidates. I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you after the meeting if you'd like to chat with them for a second. And thank you again for coming out. It was very nice. I think there were some very good conversations, and look forward to tomorrow too, when we were able to interview with both of you. And then also just again tomorrow, 5:30 is our meeting to have the interviews with both of them. And on next Tuesday, the 26th is Tuesday, right? Yep. So next Tuesday is our audit meeting. If anybody's interested in that, we'll audit our last fiscal year. And then the tree lighting will be the day before our next regular council meeting on the 2nd at 7 p.m., right? 7 p.m.? It starts? I think so.
Whatever the usual time.
Okay. I think it's usually 7, right? Yeah, 7 p.m. at City Hall. So come on out. That's Monday, December 2nd, the Eastpointe tree lighting. And then I think that was all. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Lucido.
First of all, I just want to let everyone know that PACE is hosting a play. It's a Christmas Carol. It's going to be on December 6th and 7th at 7 p.m. at East Detroit High School's auditorium. You can go online to get more information about it, but they always do a fantastic job with their performances, and the money goes for a good cause. So it's like one of the only fundraisers they do right now. So I suggest everyone come out, go see them perform. You're going to see a lot of people from the community that are involved in this play in this performance, and I'm sure you'll recognize a lot of faces, and it's really a lot of fun, so I hope everyone can get out and see that. Secondly, to Mr. Creech, the Parks Master Plan, just so you know, I have not seen it yet either. Hopefully we'll receive it within the next week so we can review it. The parks, I know that Mr. Marucci has had a lot of changes made in it, so hopefully it will be a good quality master plan that we can move forward with getting some funding for our parks, whether, through grants and things like that, so we can start getting more and more things done in our parks. And other than that, all I have is I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. If, we have the roads right now, you never know with the snow we've had. It's going to be getting cold, temperatures dropping. So when you're out traveling, take your time, don't be in a rush. And that's it for this evening.
Thank you. Before I end it, Mr. Cotton, you want to add some things?
Well, I want to thank the council members because you addressed some of the things I wanted to carry up. I just want to add on the water. The question was, how much of the water is tested, what's tested? Well, every June, there's a water quality report that comes out that is very lengthy with all the tests that are done by the water provider. So this lead testing we've been talking about tonight is above and beyond, some required by the state, and we're offering information on more if someone wants to go further. So mainly I wanted to add some things about tomorrow night. Actually, the rest of the city manager review process. Tomorrow, we'll be having breakfast and lunch individually with the managers. One drew the short straw, so got the breakfast, and the other got the lunch. So they can get a chance to meet the leadership team. And we also, the meeting starts at 5:30, as you mentioned, for organizational purposes. One thing you'll get during the course of the day, I hope you'll get out, are questions, possible questions. You can, second interview is more informal, so you don't have to follow the script at all, but there will be some customary second interview questions in front of you if you choose to. The also location of how this room is set up. Last year we had tables in the front, the last time we did this, and you sat in the front of the dais. If you like that, we'll do that again. It struck me tonight while I was sitting here, maybe you want to see how this person looks in this chair. So that's kind of a creative option, maybe too creative. If you have, let me know your preferences, and we'll do exactly that. And I think you also referred to the Economic Development Manager. She was here. She's our finalist. So she received her packet today, and she got to meet the possible new city manager. So kudos to her. And I want to say, we said it before when Assistant Manager Fairbrother was not here, but the ranked choice voting was superlative, you and your team, and how that was handled, in my opinion. And we continue to get results that are positive, and I think it's put Eastpointe on the map, literally. I've heard about Eastpointe from other quarters around the state because of ranked choice voting. So credit to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Thank you for everybody for coming out tonight, and the city managers who came and met the residents. Thank you for taking time to do that. I see some new faces. Thank you for coming out. Keep coming. And the youth in the audience, thank you for coming. Was it interesting? Absolutely. I love when the high schoolers come out and listen and see how the elected officials, things go on in the community and see how they can be involved. I really like that. I want to talk about what I went to the Chamber of Commerce today. Was at 9 a.m. and just Eastpointe and Roseville are combined, and they also have other businesses that are not in Eastpointe and Roseville, like St. Clair Shores. They also have a business in Royal Oak that is part of the chamber too, all the way out in Royal Oak. And we just began to talking about how we can involve the high school that we have in Eastpointe and getting them involved in starting their own businesses and working for some of these businesses that are involved in the Chamber of Commerce, and getting these business owners to hire them, also have them doing internships, because we want to get these kids ready when it's time to go to the workforce. And so they agreed. I'm also talking to a lady who works for Edward Jones, and she does a lot of investment in stocks and want to go to the high school and teach these kids how to invest their money, how to do things like that. And we might do it together at the library if we can't get into the school. So we just want to move not only the city forward, but we got to start with our youth and doing that so they can be the best that they can be. Also, you already stated the 5:30 interviews for the city manager will be tomorrow. So if you have extra questions that council did not ask, we're not going to ask all the questions, but some of those that seem the most important to us. Also, the neighborhood watch will be this Thursday at 6:30 at Love Life, correct, Mr. Rohit? Yes. Okay. So will there be snacks involved? Everybody comes for the snacks.
That's a December meeting.
So if you are not involved in the neighborhood watch and this is the first time you heard about it, please talk to a director after this and get involved in your community and tell somebody. It's a really great thing that he started in Eastpointe. They've really been doing a lot of stuff. It's still over 100 people still at, in there, and we getting more. So it was a really good program. Also, what do we also have? And don't forget, November the 26th, we have our audit meeting. That's always fun at 6 p.m.
I was gonna say that.
Always fun. So I think that's it for right now that I have to announce. And so I just want to again thank everybody for coming out. We had a really good meeting. I think this was my first real meeting, doing everything on my own. So thank you, council, for helping me with that. And Mr. Cotton and Mr. Blum and Mr. Albright for helping me, do better. And I thank the residents for having patience with me and coming out. And so can I get a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Go ahead.
Support.
Move in support. Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Great job.
Thank you. Y'all help.
We need to post like tonight then for the meeting. Yeah, we need 18 hours, right? 9/11.